I'm really tired, and I'm going to record this one with StreamYard. They blocked me into StreamYard. I had to delete the other video. I guess they listen to what you say. So I'm going to record this one and then download it so I have it. Okay. And so special improvement districts are quasi-municipalities, and I'm speaking specifically in New Jersey about corruption in New Jersey and how they launder money through the illegal contracts awarded, and how I got mixed up in this 30 years ago. This is like a crazy story. All right, I'm going to share documents. I don't care what anybody says. You want to read the documents as I put them on the screen. You're welcome to read them. It names names and people, and you should get a good idea of what's going on. I'm going to give a brief summary of my story. In the late 1980s, I started an outdoor commercial Christmas decoration company called Britannic Promotional Display. I was mostly focused and almost exclusively decorated downtowns in New Jersey, and pretty much that's what I did. I decorated downtowns from New Jersey. In the late 1980s, also started they started these entities, creating these entities called business improvement districts, or special improvement districts, or neighborhood preservation, or whatever they want to call them. They fall under the pedestrian mall statutes. It's a quasi-municipality. Government cannot create a non-government agency and use tax dollars to fund it, which is what they did. So they use tax dollars to fund it. So what they would do is they would cordon off a certain area of a downtown, and they would tax all the landlords a mandatory tax on a separate tax bill generally, and give that money to the special improvement district. So just like a volunteer fire department, or volunteer ambulance corps, whatever, first aid, they get money from the city. They can also take donations, but the money from the city has to be accounted for. And since you're formed by the city, created by the city, you have to follow local public contract laws, which you'll see the statutes in a minute or two. Now, I'm going to try and figure out how to do a share screen with this here. And I'm going to share, wow, so how do I do that? Let me go back here. I'm going to share window, this one, share. Okay, so now you should be looking at the document that says, if I'm still open here, my says cover letter. And basically, this is just a letter of me writing on 6/19 to somebody about what's going on. So basically, you can glance through this. I'm going to just talk a little bit through this. So around 1989, I was on, in 1990, I was on CBS News for Union Township. I brought 10,000 people to their tree lighting ceremony, which the year prior only had about 5 or 10 people. They had to basically close down the downtown. I did their grounds work, and I decorated the downtown, the streets. From that, I started getting, I guess, in 89 and 90 was on the news. Also, Red Bank, I was in Two Rivers Time newspaper. I was also featured in an organization downtown New Jersey. It seems that the special improvement districts decided that they were a separate entity, that they did not have to follow local public contract laws. So they started not taking bids from me, which was odd. It wasn't like I did anything wrong or somebody had a complaint about me or my work was shoddy. In fact, it was the opposite. I was doing too good. The other people in this business are self-proclaimed mafia guys. Mayor Giuliani indicted Arnold Migliaccio in 1996. It's news. You can look it up. For the San Gennaro feast, I worked with Giuliani's Department of Investigation, and I bid on every business improvement district in New York City in 1995, Christmas or 96. By then, I was already 4 or 5 years into getting threats, and which started coming along when I started complaining about why SIDs wouldn't take, and I'm going to refer to them as SIDs, wouldn't take my bids. So when they wouldn't take my bids, I was kind of concerned, and of course I was losing business, and I have a family to feed and kids. You know, I bought my first house when I was 25 years old. I was in my mid-30s when I started the Christmas business, and I was very aggressive, and I worked very hard. I was salesman, buyer, designer, installer, truck mechanic, hydraulic mechanic. I was up in the buckets. I did everything, fixed wiring, light bulbs, changing. I did A to Z. You know, I hired guys to help me for the holiday season, but mostly, you know, it was a one-man operation. I did my own website. I wrote my own HTML. It was an AT&T dial-up site. It was on yahoo.com. I was doing very well. I guess around 1989, 90, there's Christmas Spectacular went into business. That's John Verona from Verona Electric in Lyndhurst, New Jersey. He's a self-proclaimed mafia guy. Whether he's in the mafia or not, I don't know what he is. I think he's a little dumb, but beat my ass with the FBI helping him in the State Attorney General's office and Department of Community Affairs in New Jersey, put me out of business and made me lose everything I ever worked for. And if the New Jersey wouldn't leave, they don't leave you alone. So people who've never been involved in, even when you go away, they still bother you. Not the same exact people, but you're still on the list. And how they do that, I actually don't know. Like how they blocked my StreamYard from working for an hour. I don't know how they did that. And everything else on the internet was working, unless StreamYard just magically went down while I was doing a video. But okay. So this video is I'm making for a news person who said, hey, they wanted to see what I was talking about. So the story changes over the years because I really did not, I was a bit naive and did not understand exactly what they were doing. And they're laundering billions of dollars of New Jersey tax money through this special improvement districts every single year by paying mafia, self-proclaimed mafia companies exuberant amounts of money for contracts. An example, Trenton, New Jersey in the 90s, I gave a contract bid for $40,000, which I did bid to their special improvement district. But they awarded it to Arno Migliaccio of New York City and paid him $150,000 and used my designs. And he copied my designs and rented them the decorations per year. I was selling them the decorations. And the year after that, they would just incur the cost. So it's real simple. They don't, I'm sure they didn't, Arnold's probably dead now because it's 30 years ago and he was in his 70s then. If he's still alive, he's over his 100, but his kids are probably still in business. At any rate, I don't really care. I have nothing. You know, I have to live with my daughter. I can't afford my own place. And I got threats of having to go to jail with these assholes from the tax thing, which is another BS story. And if I didn't record them, my stupid butt would be in jail right now. But I caught them trying to set me up, which is a whole nother issue, but it has to do with this issue. Okay, so this is going to be really long to explain, and I talk fast and I jump around in subjects, and I'm really a little bit pissed off right now. So I'm probably going to say more than I would normally say. Okay, so I get a call from Migliaccio in the late 80s rather, about stealing a shopping center group from him. Mostly I did cities and towns, but I picked up 30 shopping centers from a management group in the city. I only did it for 1 year. He got it back after that year. And that was my first encounter with a mobster guy who said he was a mobster. So as I was getting blackballed or not taking my bids, in the special improvement districts in the 90s after I was, my tree lighting was on CBS News, and I was getting a lot of newspaper coverage, and word was spreading about me that I was very good. So what happened, I called a lawyer friend of mine, and he said, no, they're a quasi municipality. They have to follow the local public contract laws. So I said, hey, what do I do? He's like, call Division of Local Government. I called Division of Local Government, which is part of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. I spoke to Joe Valente, who's retired now. He said, no, Tony, you're correct. They have to follow 40:11-1, whatever it is, local public contract laws. They're formed by government. They're a government agency. You know, they're taxing people. They have to follow local public contract laws. So I said, well, what do? I have like 7 counties in New Jersey. Okay. Bergen, Passaic, Essex, Union, Trenton, Mercer County, Trenton, Ocean County, Monmouth County, Middlesex County. They won't take bids from me, the big city, bigger city ones, which are the larger contracts. I mean, I still have a couple of, I have some small towns I'm doing some work. But they're not can't bid on Union anymore. I can't bid on Red Bank. I can't bid on a lot of New Brunswick. So a lot of these towns, I'm just naming a few, because they're all corrupt. Every single one of them. I don't care if they think they're corrupt or not corrupt, or think they're doing what's best. They're liars and they're corrupt, and I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to show you. So Joe Valente says, send a complaint to every county prosecutor in the counties where you're having problems with cities in that county. So I sent about 7 or 8 letters out to the prosecutors. Most of them didn't answer me. 2 of them did, was Trenton, Mercer County, and Middlesex County for New Brunswick. So I have letters from them confirming. The other ones just totally ignored me. So what happened was, when I sent the letters in saying, hey, they have to follow local public contract laws, Joe Valente, and I have the statutes I put down for them. They said, no, we talked to the state OAG, Office of Attorney General in New Jersey, and they said they're rendering an opinion on this statute. Okay, and so I'll show you letters where they say, even DCA, Department of Community Affairs, says they're rendering an opinion on this statute. 100% lie. And I just want to make one thing like perfectly clear right off the bat, and how my lawyer didn't catch this or whatever, and it's just funny. If they were rendering an opinion on a statute, that means that someone doesn't believe that that statute's correct or whatever. They don't have to follow it. That doesn't mean they don't have to follow it until they render an opinion. In other words, until opinion is rendered, the law stands. The NJSA law stands as written, and they should have been following it. So it should have been enforced. I should not have received the letters that I received. So I have to somehow minimize this screen and go because I need to change screens. So I'm going to keep talking, and you're going to see me change letters here. This is the rest of that letter. I'll give you time, but you can pause it to read it. And this is just me explaining the letters that are to follow that I sent to somebody. This is my OPA request, or Freedom of Information request, for the letters that I had sent a complaint in the year in 99 or 2000 to the OAG saying, hey, this ain't right. You can't do this. And you had all my cases dismissed. This is the rest of the OPA request. There was no cost for it, and they sent it to me. Dear Mr. Rattini, the Division of Criminal Justice, the receipt of your OPA request, entire filing, including blah, 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 your complaint. Now, I'm not covering up any names in here, and I don't care, and that's who signed my freedom. It's not full, by the way. They have a lot more information they did not give me. This is from the Middlesex County Prosecutor's Office. Your complaint alleging the violation of New Jersey bidding statutes and NJS SA 40:A11-1, local public contract law with respect to the award of a contract by New Brunswick City Market. That's what they call their special improvement district for the 1995 Christmas decorations for downtown New Brunswick has been reviewed. You should be aware that the New Brunswick City Market is chartered as a special improvement district. Currently, the New Jersey Attorney General Office has been asked to provide an opinion to the New Brunswick officials as to whether the special improvement district falls within the definition of a municipal entity, and therefore comes within the purview of the bidding statute. The opinion has not yet been issued. Yeah, that means they have to follow they're a quasi municipality. To this day, no opinion has been rendered. This is money laundering straight up, hands down, and it's not just about Christmas lights. No, they do a lot of building revitalization, sidewalk work, lighting work in the street. There's a lot of BS and billions of dollars going through this. So has not yet been issued. However, even if New Brunswick City Market is found to be in violation of said statutes, that in itself would not constitute a violation of any criminal statute. Yeah, it would. I would have a civil suit, first of all, for the amount of the contract that I lost, for them not taking a quote, and for them laundering money. Yeah, that's criminal. Middlesex County prosecutors, thank you very much for being as ignorant as you could possibly ever be. State of New Jersey, Department of Community Affairs. There, Mr. Bertani. This is a response to your letter concerning the statute of the new legislation, any new legislation to local public contract laws, special improvement district. Please be advised there have been no new legislations assigned into this law regarding it. This is 99. So now we're 4 years later. I still don't have an answer, and I'm trying. Finally, the issue of the bidding with special improvement districts is one of concern within the Department of Community Affairs and of interest of several parties with different positions regarding the resolve of this matter. This issue continues to be under consideration by the Attorney General's office. He's talking about the New Jersey Attorney General's office. Once an opinion is received and reviewed, the division will inform you of his action in regard to the same. Then the director, Ulrich Steinberg Jr., who's retired now also, and another criminal who belongs in jail and should have everything he ever worked for taken away from him and his pension if he's still alive. It's criminal creep. This is all BS. Any lawyer looking at it would see it right there. It's BS. He's telling you there's an opinion. This is 5 years later from my last letter. We're already almost 10 years into it, by the way. So just go. I went in 2001, 2 years later, right to OAG's office. And I met with a detective. He said his name was Corazon, whatever that is. And then I wrote him this follow-up letter. It was a pleasure speaking with you. He didn't understand why no one did anything yet. And so I rewrote it. And the first complaint I filed was in 1995, but it was and the statute that specifically pedestrian malls. So you understand that there's no question that a special improvement district is a pedestrian mall, and it falls in that statute. That's what a pedestrian mall is, an area of a downtown section off in tax. That's what just because you change the name of what you want to call your entity and do the exact same thing with it, it falls in that purview. And this is the exact law, 40:5686, which they started complaining back then that the word street was what they were arguing about, pertained to just paving the roads, which is nonsense, and they know it was nonsense. And so this is a letter of that. You can read it if you want to take the time to read it. You're not going to find everything in order, and parts of one letter is missing in this file. So I have a couple of different files. This is my CJ number, criminal justice number 2001-4412-A. 2001 is the year I filed a criminal complaint to the department, the OAG, saying I'm writing this letter on behalf. This is a response to my letter of my complaint, and that's my complaint number. That your correspondence will be reviewed. So that's that letter confirming that. This is Mr. Trappin was in charge of records, where I confirmed that they back up at the claim referring to the SID bidding option. These a couple of letters clearly show the intent to render a discussion in this matter. So he's not saying an opinion, a discussion which means the law should have been being followed as it's written. You can't just say, well, there's a red light there. I see if no cars are coming. I think that statute doesn't mean I have to stay here till it turns green. I think it means I could go through the red light. So I'm going to ask the AG's office of the state to reconsider that opinion, that law, and render an opinion. If I don't have to wait. If there's no cars coming, I can go through a red light. Does that mean until they render an opinion, I can go through all the red lights I want and until they render an opinion? No, I have to follow the law as it's written. I have to wait for the light to turn green to go through it. So this in here, and he uses the word discussion. Trapp's probably retired also. You'll see that the subject has never been entered. As you may look further, this is me writing to him. Yeah. You may see that they never entered. So I called the Attorney General's office and asked them the status, and it wasn't even in the system for an opinion. It was all a lie. And so this is what I sent to Trap. This is blocked out. Tony can't see it, and you can't see it either. Here's when I met with on 06. I met with this guy, Quasi, and I thanked him because I stopped into the I mixed up the letters. I stopped into the AG's office, OAG's office, and basically what we spoke about in the meeting, and I thanked him, for the time. And this letter is, I think, easier in real format. The confirmation understand that this file we looked with reference, my CJ number, and other information I have in my possession. I will start where I'll explain what transpired in the last 15 years. So I'm 15 years in, and already been blackballed from doing business in New Jersey. I lost everything I ever owned. I don't even own a house any longer. They put me on the street. I had a judge forge a warrant of removal to have me out of a house in 2 hours. 100% forged in Ocean County. They won't. I said can't go after a judge. And this is I wrote started in '92 from Mr. Migliaccio. I'm not sure if he's spelling his name, so you can read it. They chased 5 companies out of New Jersey for Christmas lighting. And anyone who does any work with special improvement districts in New Jersey is a criminal. They're getting contracts and they're getting paid way extra, and they're giving the money to whoever, NGOs, the extra money. They don't get to keep it. They paid in Trenton, Mercer County. I bid $40,000. I designed an anniversary Christmas display for them. I forget if it's 200th anniversary or some crap like that for Trenton, New Jersey. And I bid them $40,000 to sell it to them and put it up. They gave that contract to Arnold Migliaccio, used my designs and my samples. They gave him my samples so he could build them, and paid him $150,000 for a season on a rental, not a purchase, per year. So you don't think they gave Arnold an extra $110,000 just because they like him? No, they gave him an extra $110,000 because that money, they tell him, some of it he gets to keep, but most of it's laundered and it goes through NGOs. So if you want to know where Black Lives Matter and Antifa get their money, and where the $1.4 trillion part where they get the money for, where half of the money is going to disappear for infrastructure, yeah, there you go. That's your answer right there. And I worked with, I don't know if I mentioned this, with because I had to make 2 tapes and I can't remember what I said on the other recording. I worked with Giuliani's Department of Investigation in 1996 when he indicted Migliaccio for being under the RICO Act, for being a mafia guy on the San Gennaro Feast. And what I did was I bid on every business improvement district or SID in New York City, the 5 boroughs, against Mr. Migliaccio. I didn't get any contracts, but I lowballed them, which probably cost them a little bit of money. Because even though people are dishonest, but I got to tell you a funny story while I'm just doing this. This is how Christmas guys sell Christmas decorations to cities and towns in New York. Because the guy told me, one of the business improvement districts, he come in, it's like I got here, they got like from a copy machine, copies black and white. I got a tree, a candy cane, a bell. I could just go across the street. These are $1,500. These are $500 a piece. If you want them, you got to order now. You don't get them from me, you can't have decorations. I mean, that's like almost word for word. That's how they sell that. Well, I have to laugh because it's kind of funny. It's like you would think that those guys are smart, but they're not. But there's a reason that they're not smart, for the same reason why politicians are not smart. So anyway, you can read that letter if you'd like to. It's 2 pages. You can pause it and read it. I write from my heart, and I don't go back and correct my grammar and spell check. So I can see there's corruption going on there, and I'm telling them. And so this is way back in, when was that again? You go back here in 06. I know for a fact, but I still don't know exactly what's going on, which I'm going to get to. And so there's that, and you can, I'll go back on that one. I don't know if that's then this is, I explain some other stuff. So this is, Christmas drive-through park. So if you've ever been to a Christmas drive-through park, that's because of me. Okay. So I wanted to stay in the Christmas business, and the mob guys were threatening me. So I came up with an idea in 1997, 96, I could take the parking lot of the PNC Art Center on the Garden State Parkway and make it a Christmas drive-through park. It was run by the state at the time, but they said, I went and met with the commissioners of the parkway, and they loved the idea. And it was really just mending. I'm not saying no one put up displays like to drive through and look at before, but no one was using sponsorship and charging admission and taking a parking lot and making it a drive-through. And I had done that and presented it to the Art Center. They loved the idea, but they had to wait for Clear Channel, Sony, to take over the facility because they were privatizing it. Another bullshit thing they're not allowed to do, but they did. And they were going to give me a contract, but then they screwed me out of the contract and my idea, and they took it all over the country. I was a 1/3 partner. There's a little story in there, whatever. I'm not going to. It came out after I gave that idea, and I tried to sue them. I owed them $150,000. I had a good judge in the beginning, but the day of the court, they changed the judges, and my lawyers sold me out. Went through 3 lawyers. It's a fucking nightmare. So, skipping through pages too quick. This is a person, constituent relations. Follow up. You can read this. It's just we read your complaint from 1998. It tells the story. Check my name. We're forwarding it into the AG's office, which is basically says State of New Jersey Office of Attorney General. That was my number again, dear Mr. This is 2010. See, Tony never gives up. And there's stuff in between. I'm just grabbing stuff. This letter is received correspondence to Governor Christie. I went right to Governor Christie. He's a criminal too. And he loves McDonald's, but he's a criminal, corrupt piece of crap. Okay, and I went to him when he was in the U.S. AG's in Newark office, and he buried this complaint also there too. It's okay. So here we are, the Office of the Governor, Constituent Relations. This letter is a little hard to read there. This one's a little better. This letter is a disappeared letter that I happen to have a picture of. So this letter they made disappear. And this is from an attorney to Mr. Steinberg. He was the director of Department of Community Affairs. I would read this letter. You can read it if you take time. That's another copy of the front. And this is the second page. And it's just telling them, and here's a reference to the action of the Mercer County prosecutors. Answers nothing, and if indeed it constitutes one more shameful chapter in this matter, whether the prosecutor has been incompetent or unknowledgeable is unclear, but the prosecutor is incorrect is incorrect certainly is, but that the prosecutor is incorrect certainly is. Of course, to be as kind to the prosecutor as possible, we have to be alert to the fact that the prosecutor was only concerned with the criminal violation, whereas your office has been concerned with the civil violation as well as the criminal. So this is my lawyer. He's passed away now, but he's kind of a sold me out too guy. And I guess this is maybe a little clearer, and they're still like, oh, where's this opinion? This is a letter back from Lawrence Hecker from the letter year 2000 when my lawyer first sent the letter. This somebody erased out because like that was in my Oprah request, so I can't see what's on the bottom here. And that's the second page. Dan Reynolds, the Deputy Attorney General, was the one who was lying, saying that they were rendering an opinion. And these are all the other people. You can see their names. Pfeiffer. So he seems to be a key person in holding this up. And this is another copy of that letter. This might be the second part of the other letter. They're actually numbered on the top 30. So there's 1 through like 40. This is to Governor Murphy. That's our current governor, the one who killed everyone in the nursing homes, everybody's grandma and grandpa, the mass murderer. 40% of the New Jersey virus deaths are due to nursing homes. Thank you, Mr. Murphy, but you ruined my life also. And so that's just a letter there to him. And this is again referring to my original criminal complaint letter. I also have criminal complaint letters to the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office, again, asking them. And I also have copies to the New Jersey State Police Public Corruptions Department, which they buried it also. Detective Tarantino, might be saying his name wrong. I'm going to name your names, guys. Copy of the letter sent during vacation. Thank you for your patience. This said, Dear Mr. Bertani. So you notice the date of this is 2020. Just saying. Thank you for your patience, because the new guy who replaced Jason Martucci replaced Joe Valente, which was the original divisional local government guy. So this is the guy in charge from divisional local government, like regulatory affairs officer. That's his job, to make sure that they're following the laws. Thank you for your patience. Our agency is not issuing a ruling on this matter at the present time. You will be advised in the future if it changes. Notice, no opinion being rendered. See, 30 years. And somebody who's a smart-ass lawyer might say, well, they could take 30 years to render an opinion, but they have to follow the law as written until the opinion is rendered. Ugh. Okay. This is from Department of Community Affairs website. So frequently asked questions about, and I'm going to, about special improvement districts. And here we have the debate regarding, and this is on their website to this day, whether a signed municipal ordinance under 40:56 is ongoing question across New Jersey for many years. Public record. The New Jersey Supreme Court opinion stated that improvement districts are an attempt to achieve privately what municipality governments have struggled unsuccessfully to do alone, as noted in the following cases. They want to operate as a separate entity with your tax money and not be accountable for it for New Jersey residents, and they are doing it. So instead of waiting for some kind of decision to be made, they just automatically did it. So I'm going to tell you how they did it in a minute too. And so there's their website, and that you don't need. That's the back of my license. So now that we're done with that, I can just go back up to opening up this screen. And I know that was boring as hell, half an hour listening to me. This is what they did. So because they were never rendering an opinion, and an asshole like me kept bothering them about it, and they know they couldn't get away with it. And so between the life threats and having my pitman arm cut through on my pickup truck and getting my van blown up on firebomb, and when I I actually put that fire out, which is pretty amazing. So it's not really so. A firebomb is not like a bomb. A firebomb goes like a, maybe it's like a warning thing. It goes like a furnace, like a noise, and the whole van filled up with flames, like a ball of fire inside my van. And so obviously I just dove out the door, and then the fireball kind of dwindled down a little bit, and I cleaned it out. So I went to the prosecutor, said, like, dude, Ocean County prosecutors like that, they put a firebomb in my van. He's like, well, did you see who did it? And I said to him, like, you didn't just ask me that question, did you? Yeah, wait a minute. I saw a guy put a firebomb in my van, so then I got in it and started it up so I could blow myself up. Where did you get your job from? And his response was, if you don't get out of my office, I'm going to throw you out physically. You're just trying to make something out of nothing. Okay, pal, fine. So this is what they're doing. Since they can't get by, they're a quasi-municipality. They can't get out of that. What they did is they put a 501(c) over the SID. So the SID operates under the 501(c). So the cities now collect money mandatorily, most of them, for a 501(c). So the money goes, a tax bill comes to your building if you're in that area, the special improvement district, and it goes to a charity that they mandatory make you belong to. So if you go to the IRS website and you look up 501(c), you can see they can't operate as a public entity. So they're them trying to say they're a private entity, but they're still doing the mandatory tax thing, and they're saying that's not illegal. In other words, let's see, I want to start a fund for people with monkeypox in my town. I'm going to start a 501(c), and I'm going to make every person in this town pay me. I'm going to get the town to pass an ordinance to pay me $2,000 a month, mandatory. Otherwise, they get fine penalties and a tax lien if they don't join my 501(c). Then they give that 501(c) money to the special improvement district. Now, here's the kicker of the whole thing. That's the scheme. They're using 501(c)s to skate around this bullcrap. 30-something years, stealing billions of dollars a year out of New Jersey's tax dollars. And guess what? New Jersey's not the only state. I know for a fact. I told you I worked with Giuliani when he was mayor in '96. New York City, 5 boroughs. New York's doing the exact same thing. Oh, wait, Pennsylvania is too. Oh, geez, stealing the people's tax dollars. You know what the difference between a special improvement district, quasi-municipalities operations are? They're both nonprofits. And the difference between the operation of a 501(c) is? The only difference is the accountability for the money. Only accounting for the money. In other words, a 501(c) doesn't have to take bids and can pay your uncle $50,000 to dress up like Santa Claus for a day, and he doesn't even have to show up. And they can put it as an expense, and that's it. No one looks at it. That's what they're doing. So you want to go, your cities are burnt down, and you have all these problems? That's part of the reason. In other words, the government doesn't pay $2,000 for a hammer that a guy wholesaled from China for $5, and they let him keep the $1,995 profit. They tell him when he's going to get the contract who to give it to. And it's the same thing with sealed contracts. I did 22 years of government contracts. A sealed contract. Oh, I got a sealed bid. Duh. Listen, real clearly, the guy who's getting the contract, he knows it. So they put out a specs for a Rolls Royce. So everybody else who wants to bid on that, say, hey, I'm going to bid on that. They bid the Rolls Royce price because they're asking for a Rolls Royce. The guy who knows he's getting the contract, he puts in a lower price, a little bit lower. He knows no one's going to beat his price. And the other guys are like, fuck him, let him do it for that price. He's going to lose his shirt. The guy delivers a Yugo, or I'm sorry, they don't make Yugos anymore, a Toyota Corolla instead. And then he gets that money and he does the same thing. This country is so corrupt, but I have the letters, and I have more letters and documentation on how they're covered it up in New Jersey. They're so stupid, waiting to render an opinion. And took everything I owned, had my life threatened, tried to kill me or hurt me. Do you know what nobody knows what a pitman arm is? Pitman arm controls your steering on your vehicle. So when a pitman arm is like metal this thick, like there's no way it's snapping. The pins might snap on the end where it's connected. My pitman arm snapped in half with a clean cut while I was driving. Lucky, God's over my shoulder a little bit. I was only going 5 miles an hour when it snapped. Lucky for me. So I don't know what else I want to add in here. Oh, the FBI has in the 1990s for Paterson, New Jersey, they covered up a I submitted exactly that. They bid out a Christmas bid for they spec'd out a Rolls Royce type of Christmas decoration, and then they got some old bent up used crap from a guy in Philly, Sal Bonafino, Christmas designers or designs or some crap. Gave him, it was a $200,000 account, 3 years on a rental, which I don't even think was legal that either. But the FBI covered that up. But they went after Mayor Barnes there and got him on something else anyway. And so all of this information, and I have the receipt, I sent it all to the FBI. They were going to give me a meeting, and then they decided not to. The FBI is covering it up too. They know I have nowhere to go. There seems to be no governor. No, I went to my senator. I sent him, send me the information. I send them the information. They read it. They call me back, said, listen, I called them back, sorry. And they said, we're not allowed to look at criminal material. You're a senator. I'm showing you corruption. You're not allowed to read that. My documents. That's this is Cooper. What is his name? Connor. My senator. I don't even remember anymore. I'm so disgusted with him. I think that's all I want to put on there. So to the news person that I made this for, I'm going to send you the link. I'm going to put it on YouTube. They're probably going to pop it down. So I would look at it as quick as possible. I'm going to put that in the notations. But this one I am going to be able to download. And so if you can't get it on YouTube, I'm going to resend it. But I'm really pissed off, so I'm going to leave it on YouTube for a little while and see if I get any response from anybody. So I'm not going to put it up as a live, because before I was trying to do it live and they were, they blocked my StreamYard. I don't even know how they did that. Oh, they hacked my computer a few times, and that stuff, if somebody wants to talk further about, I can tell you what they did. They can get into your Google Drive and your Verizon Cloud and delete all of your like phone records. Like they just took phone records out of there of mine. And they can also take your phone and make it to an unauthorized factory restore. But first they'll delete all your backup stuff. Lesson learned, put stuff on a stick. Okay. God bless. Peace to everyone. And I'm just angry that they took my life away and did the little puppet show. I mean, ruined my kid's life, ruined my life, made me homeless. For what? For working hard and trying to stand up to corruption? You think Donald Trump got it bad? At least he has a billionaire life. I have nothing. And then tried to set me up to go to jail. Donnie Trump, record the phone calls. Set them up like I did. Take care, everyone. God bless.